What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a knife that is long overdue for this channel. A lot of you guys watched me unbox this a while back. This is the Cold Steel American Lawman. This specific version is actually in S35VN. This knife has had 3 versions as far as I'm aware of. The original in AUS 8 with a Teflon coating, then the upgraded version in CTS XHP, and they moved to the DLC coating, which is the coating you're seeing here. And then this most recent version, which is in S35VN. It's my understanding that you can still get the CTS XHP version and this version in S35VN. Running, I got this one for 75 bucks on eBay, brand new, and free shipping too, so it was a great deal. But I think you can get them anywhere from $75 to $85. So anyways, let's go ahead and get some measurements on this guy. So overall length, the American Lawman coming in at about 8 inches overall. Blade length coming in at just shy of 3.5 inches. Total cutting edge coming in at exactly, maybe just a hair over 3 inches. It's got a nice forward choil there. So of course, I'm a huge fan of that. How about up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about the Spyderco Paramilitary 2? Up against the PM2, 8.3 inches overall for the PM2. How about the Benchmade Griptilian? Should be in the same territory here, 8 inches overall. Another sweet spot knife for me. How about the Spyderco Delica. Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. So this is a nice 8-inch overall, 3.5-inch blade style knife. You know, very common ground for you know, I know that this is a preferred measurement for a lot of people. Let's go ahead and get a weight on this guy. Let me zero out my scale there. Okay. Lawman coming in at 0. Hang on one sec. What is going on here? There we go. That was weird. Come on. 0 out. Okay. American Lawman coming in at 4.13 ounces. Let's pick it up. Put it back down. 4.13 ounces. Just a little bit over 4 ounces. That's going to kind of nail it for a lot of people. Really works for me. This is a carry size and weight that is very preferable. So anyways, actually, you know what? Before we move on, let's go ahead and do the paper cut test that some people like and some people hate. As always, the paper cut test is not a definitive cutting test. It's basically just for me to give you an example of the edge right out of the box versus the universal slicing standard, the Paramilitary 2. Some of you are going to get something out of this. Some of you won't. That's perfectly fine. It's probably more for me than anybody else. So let's take a pass with the PM2 first. PM2 slicey as ever. And how about the American Lawman? Also extremely slicey. Okay, so I haven't done that. I've had this for a long time and I haven't done that yet. Truthfully, this knife has been pocket demoed by a gentleman, one of my friends who wants to buy it from me. He said, I got about, you know, $100 to spend. I'd prefer to keep it closer to 50. What knife do you recommend? And we kind of tossed some stuff back and forth. And I said, I've got an American Lawman that I think is awesome. Spoiler alert, I think this knife's awesome. And I can sell it to you for about 60 bucks. It's brand new and unused, and you can carry it for a little bit and see what you think. So he hasn't used this. He's been carrying it, and he's definitely going to buy it. But anyways, I've had some time to carry it around and mess with it. I just haven't cut with it yet. And so that truthfully surprised me. The edge is nice and thin. There's no resistance really on that paper. It feels very similar to the PM2. I'm really pleasantly surprised by that. So that's awesome. So anyways, like I said, trying to find a place to put this piece of paper. Like I said, the American Lawman has had 3 versions. Now the original version with the Teflon coating, I watched a bunch of test videos because that's what you do when you start to get into cold steel knives. You watch their test videos, their hard use demos, and whether it's by Cold Steel or people like me who are just regular guys, you know, either talking about knives or going out and testing them. And I noticed, I was like, man, that coating wears off quick. And then I found out that this is actually an upgraded DLC coating It's actually really pleasant looking. It's kind of like slightly reflective. Really, really nice. Love that coating. But the Teflon coating was like, it looked more matte black, but it just kind of rubbed off. So this is much, much tougher. Some people are going to prefer the XHP model, which is XHP is kind of like a super S30V. It's going to have a little bit more edge retention, a little less toughness, but be stainless. S35VN is going to have good edge retention, not quite as good as CTS XHP, but it is going to be tougher, and it's also going to maintain that corrosion resistance. A fantastic steel for this knife. I mean, this knife is an ED-sized mega hard use knife. That is exactly how I'd classify it. Really, really nice classic drop point style blade. Lots of room to drop towards the cutting edge, which is probably why it gets so thin. Check out the reinforcement down to the tip. That's fantastic. Blade stock thickness is probably right around the same area as the PM2. Maybe a little bit thinner. Let's compare it with the Benchmade Griptilian. A little bit thicker than the Benchmade Griptilian, a little bit thinner than the PM2. So really nice blade stock thickness though. You can see there the nose drops just ever so slightly at the tip. Really nice symmetrical grind. Looks great all the way around. Cold Steel really has surprised me with their fit and finish. I'm honestly really impressed with that. This is a very simple design. We have, moving down, you can see the thumb stud there, which by the way is, I mean, you could probably take that out and make it a left-hand thumb stud, but it's like left or right-hand primary thumb stud. Anyways, moving down to the scale, solid G10 scales, simple Torx head pivot, some pins back here holding in the stop pin and the part of the back lock. You've got Torx heads back here, a nice lanyard hole. You've got the pocket clip, of course, on the other side. Everything just mirroring. This is a truly ambidextrous knife. Because somebody in the comments section pointed this out, because I was like, oh, that's cool. They give you another pocket clip. They're actually giving you the left-handed mounting pocket clip because this pocket clip curves, so you can't flip it over and it would curve the wrong way. So that's what the second pocket clip is for, which is pretty cool. Cold Steel appears to have a pretty good warranty. It shows that the knife is, I didn't see like limited or a time limit on it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are warranted for life for the original user or for the person who purchased it. Which is pretty cool. I don't have any experience with Cold Steel's warranty, so I can't say definitively whether or not it's good, but they seem to stand by their product. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk more about the body of the knife. So I thought for sure this would have steel liners on the inside, and it doesn't. This is peel ply textured G10. It is G10, it's not plastic. On the inside, we can't really see very well, but it's completely linerless. All the support comes from this backspacer right here, which I can't tell if it's G10 or aluminum or whatever. It's solid. And then you've got this steel backspacer, which is part of the triad lock. That thing is substantial enough to where there's no flex in the scales. I mean, this is all solid. You can see the backspacer comes all the way down here for support. You have... let's take a look at that. No, there's no tube in there. I think that backspacer is metal. Somebody can confirm for sure in the comment section if you want. But it's not. It's light, but it's absolutely solid and substantial. I don't know that this knife really needs steel liners. Yeah, it would add to that feeling of solidity. It would add some heft to it, but the way that this is set up, I think it's good to go. I don't see too many in fact, I have honestly never seen anything online where someone says, I hate the American Lawman, it broke right away, or it doesn't work. I've never seen that. All I read is, the American Lawman is one of the best knives that exists. I beat the crap out of it all the time. I've had mine for years. It's amazing. Even the AUS 8 versions, people are still carrying those around, and they just don't die. This is like well... I don't want to say brand names, but there's a particular small pickup out there that is made by a manufacturer that people are really well aware of, and they are notorious for going over 400,000 miles and just never dying. So fill in the blanks as you please. I used to work at a dealership, so I relate everything to vehicles. Yeah, just a really, really good design. And of course, I went over the triad lock in the 80-10 video, but the 3 points of contact, can we focus? Okay. 3 points of contact here, of course, the back lock, stop pin, tang of the blade, and then that hook under, which I think the blade actually hooks under the triad lock as it connects. Extremely solid. Extremely solid. No wiggle. I cannot wrench this. I honestly cannot wrench this thing in any direction to get blade play. It is good to go. Some people don't like the fact that you have to push down on that back lock to disengage it. This is not really a fidgety knife. I mean, you absolutely can, if you can get your thumb in the right place, you absolutely can fire it out like that. You can do it with no wrist. I mean, it's there, but honestly, this is a working tool. The Cold Steel American Lawman is the exact line where tactical, unnecessary tactical, actually meets function. And by that I mean, you know, there are a lot of people out there who will buy any knife that is black, military looking, and it's usually a Tanto. There are a lot of people out there who will just buy that. It does, you know, they won't question the fact why it's $20. They'll just be like, oh, that's clearly you know, an ultra, you know, it's an elite knife, you know. And, you know, a lot of us in the knife community who have handled more premium knives know that that's kind of a tactic by manufacturers to appeal to a certain group of people who are after that type of thing, assuming that it is better than anything else out there. But it's also appealing because it's inexpensive. That's kind of the tactical crowd. You know, your TAC Forces, you know, Frost Cutlery makes some stuff like that. Smith & Wesson makes some stuff like that. There's a whole bunch. I mean, those things are a dime a dozen. They're gas station. They're just, I think they're like a hair above gas station knives, the ones I'm describing. But you get up to a certain point and the line is blurred and you're starting to transition. You know, you kind of, around that $75 mark, you see a lot of knives that are better made, and like this manufacturer's line, half of their line is kind of like ultra tactical, and then there's some more practical designs. Cold Steel, I think, fits perfectly in there for me. A lot of their knives, and I'm sorry, I'm going to make some of you guys mad. The Espada is one of the most ridiculous, completely unnecessary designs I have ever seen. I understand some people are drawn to that because it's, you know, really wicked looking, and Sylvester Stallone threw it into a dartboard in Expendables or whatever. I think that was the knife that was in that movie. I think that's a ridiculous design by Cold Steel, and it has no practical utilitarian nature about it whatsoever. Now, knives like the American Lawman, however, have the appeal of being, you know, it says American Lawman on it. It's black. It has that tactical look, yet at the same time, you actually have a functional blade shape. You've got a nice ergonomic handle. You've got some nice, just kind of minimalist, you know, the way that they have put the materials together is minimalist and simple, and it comes in at an amazing price point. $75 in this case, call it $80 for, you know, on average. And it's being made with, you know, like I said, G10 S35VN. S35VN is absolutely a practical steel. I have this theory that S35VN is going to be the new D2 in like 1 to 2 years, and we're going to start seeing it on sub $50 knives. But that's besides the point. The point is it's a really good steel. Have I mentioned the ergonomics are fantastic? Oh my gosh. Look at this. Primary grip, fit your whole hand around it. Forward choil grip, same thing. Love this. Love this. I'm always going to be biased towards knives with a forward choil. And this, for the longest time, this was the only Cold Steel knife that I ever had any interest in. Then, you know, the 8010 came along. Love that. Everybody's telling me Code 4. Maybe I got to check that out too. But the American Lawman is, it's the line where you cross over from for a lot of people, I think it is that transitional knife where, you know, and I was there too. When I was younger, I was like, I want to go to a flea market and buy a $40 ninja sword to hang on my wall, you know, for no reason. And I was attracted to, you know, those trench knives that had like the spikes on the knuckles and the throwing stars and all that. You know, most of us grow out of that. And we get our hands on a knife that kind of transitions, and we get older and we realize, you know, some of that stuff doesn't work, or it takes up too much room in the pocket, or we realize, oh my gosh, it's actually not made very well. You know, screws back out, the plastic breaks or cracks, the blade gets dull immediately. And for me, it was the Kershaw Blur. The first like kind of nicer knife for me, the transitional knife, was the Kershaw Blur, and I did a video about that. But for a lot of people, I think the Cold Steel American Lawman was absolutely that transitional knife. They get their hands on it and they realize, yeah, it's cool, and it kind of fills that, it kind of really it hits the nail on the head for that need for that tactical blade, that sort of military looking or law enforcement looking knife. But every single thing about this knife screams utility. It is a functional tool. You can beat on this thing. You can put this thing in stressful situations. The steel's right. The handle materials are right. The locking mechanism is right. It's made well. The tolerances are there. Like I said, no blade play. You can see it also came centered. Let's see if I can. There we go. Centered up. No rubbing. This is a great knife. And it is absolutely representing that line there. And for those of you who have never checked this knife out and been curious about it, at 75 to 80 bucks, oh my gosh, I can recommend this knife all day. In fact, that's exactly what happened. My friend said, hey, can you recommend a knife to me? And I said, dude, the American Lawman, man. I mean, go for it. I also recommended the Blur and some other stuff, but I had the Lawman Omni, and I said, you can try this one out, I love this knife. I absolutely love it. I kind of wish that so there's some jimping back here. If I was going to change one thing, give me a little bit up top, just a little bit. This is a knife I'm going to bear down on. I would like to lock my thumb in back here. You're probably going to be wearing gloves, but that spine is just a little bit slippery. I'd like to see just a little bit of jimping, something to catch my finger, but really, that's it. The pocket clip is just fine. It's kind of boring, but it's just fine. It holds onto the pants. The peel ply texturing is heavy, but it works for this knife. This is an outdoor work knife. Some people are going to EDC it. That's fine. It's light enough and just barely short enough to where you can kind of justify that. But that texturing screams, work outside with me. Use me outside and use me hard. That's definitely how I feel about this knife. And I think that Cold Steel chose everything pretty much exactly right. Now, to be honest, I've got so many knives that if I have a friend come and ask me, like, hey, do you have one you'd recommend? And I've got one that's in new condition that I can make him a deal on, then I'm going to do that. But I love this knife so much that I will likely end up purchasing another one for myself. I don't know if I'll go S35 or CTS XHP. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. But Ross, if you're watching this, enjoy this knife. Beat the snot out of it. It will definitely serve you well for forever, unless you do something crazy with it. But you'll likely still have it, by the time you're old and you've got kids, and maybe you can give it to them. But honestly, that's how I feel about this knife. I feel like as far as a folding knife goes and durability, this thing's right there at the top. And it should if you haven't had an opportunity to check one of these out, you absolutely should go and check one of these out. Anyways, guys, that is going to be pretty much it for today. I don't know if I pointed this out, and just so you guys know, it is called the American Lawman. You can see there. But it is not actually made in the United States. It's made in Taiwan. And for a long time, that's what held me back from Cold Steel knives, is learning that I think there's only one or two that are made in the United States. The Formax and I don't know what else. But this is made in Taiwan. That's how they keep the cost down, But after having handled it, I don't care. I wish they wouldn't put Taiwan on the blade. That kind of bothers me. I mean, I know you got, in some way, shape, or form, you have to say it, but can we just leave American Lawman on there and S35VN? Can we just leave that? Taiwan or China on a blade just looks bad. But that's a little nitpick. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the performance of this knife whatsoever. This knife is made unbelievably well. Go check it out. It's awesome. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.